On this week's live stream, the horror! Chromeworks summer campers take a stab at the horror genre. Plus, Chromeworks' own superstar game developer zooms in from Sweden to answer questions about the game industry. And we show you a pro technique for getting smooth movement in your Scratch projects. All this and more coming right up on the Chromeworks live stream. Good morning, Internet. All three of you who are watching, welcome back to another Chromeworks live stream. This will be my last live stream for a while, I think, guys. The audience after 2 years just isn't really picking up the way that I was hoping it would, and just the sheer amount of effort that's gone into it is just not really proving to be worth the investment. So I've been mostly keeping this going to keep my co-op students busy creating content for me, and they've done such a fantastic job. But now that I'm back teaching live, I am having my co-op students come in and actually do teaching with me right here in the real world. So I don't need them to really do that for me anymore. So I am going to continue to be producing content. I'm going to be releasing Scratch tutorials and tips and things like that quite regularly as time goes on. And I will come back for occasional live streams. I'm planning to do a release party for my new AMV Freakadroid, which I've talked about many times, and then sometime in maybe 5 weeks or so. It's going to take me a while to get the last bits of it finished, and I have some other stuff going. And we'll be back for a Christmas special as well, which I'm always very excited to do. So there's you can look forward to some content, and I'm hoping if I just do this a little less frequently that perhaps we'll be able to get a little bit of a bigger audience, and it'll kind of give me a bit better payoff for the amount of time I'm spending on these things. In the meantime, I'm turning my attention to this big experiment I've been hinting at for a few weeks, starting a real live coding and multimedia studio for kids right here in Ottawa. I'm going to be renting a facility sometime in the fall, and we're going to be putting up lighting and green screens and all the cool stuff that kids need to have multimedia fun. And I'm looking forward to opening that sometime in the new year, probably, or sorry, towards the end of the year, perhaps beginning of November, beginning of December anyway. So that's an exciting plan, and that's going to be the hub and the workshop where I'm doing all of my creative work out of. So we're going to be producing videos out of there, and I'm going to continue to have co-op students helping me to produce the great work that they've been doing as well. So looking forward to that. But this will be my kind of swan song for my regular weekly live streams, and I just wanted to pass the bad news along to you guys. David, was someone in the chat? Or?
Yeah, Akshar Vivek Vids is a new viewer, and they would like to say hi. And also Riley from camp is viewing the stream right now.
Riley, welcome. So welcome to both of you. Riley was in camp with me all this week. I wanted to tell you guys about the amazing camp experience I've had this week. I for the first time in July, we just kind of had all age groupings and a very wide group of kids of different ages. But this group, you tried something a little different this week and had 11 to 13-year-olds, so a much older crowd that was much more sophisticated in what they were doing, and it allowed us to try some out there stuff that we hadn't done before. So a couple of the things we did this week were we did a live interview with Jeffrey, my son in Sweden, who's a superstar game developer. He'll be talking to us today about why Finnish game developers are also depressed, and about the things that inspire him to make games and all kinds of fun stuff. Now we have a half-hour interview that we're going to be releasing later on in the week, the full thing, but so we actually had him dial in live on Discord and chat with my campers, and they asked him all kinds of really interesting questions. We're going to give you just a little highlight reel, about 5 minutes or so today, and then we're going to move on and do other stuff. But the full half hour will be released as a standalone video a little bit later in the week, and I'm looking forward to showing you guys that. All right, so Riley was one of the kids who worked with me on this horror film, which we just had so much fun putting together. I want to thank Riley, Jackson, Isabel, Logan, and Zachary, the 5 kids who worked with me on this. Some of them did camera work, and some of them were acting in it, and they all did a fantastic job. And thank you, Riley, for joining me here. Anyway, I've been really excited. I've been waiting for a few days to finish up the final details of this. Riley, this is a little bit different from the version you saw yesterday. I did some more editing, added some more creepy sound effects, and did a little tweaking, and I'm very proud of the results. So let's jump right into that. So this is a student-made horror movie. I was out there working, just getting them all together and wrangling the story and making sure everyone was on their marks. But Riley did most of the camera work for me, along with my pal Jackson, who also did some of the directing work. And Jackson was heavily involved in the editing of the final production as well. And our 3 or 4 actors, Logan, Isabel, Zachary, and me, of course, we're all very, very busy making it. So I'm going to, without further ado, show you guys this video, and very excited about it. I think it's a really fun little example of the horror genre. It's PG rated for any of you guys who are a little worried about disturbing content. There's some suggestions of creepy stuff happening, but there's nothing on camera happening that I wouldn't show to an average 10-year-old, so we won't worry about it. All right, let's get right on that right now. So here, without further ado, is our horror movie called Emmett Needs Friends. Someone says, Zora says he gets nightmares from horror movies. Well, I hope that we don't just ruin you forever here, Zora. But yes, here it comes. So, Emmett Needs Friends. I don't know if that's a trail, Isabel. Let's just check it out, okay?
Let's go! You guys want chicken? We're not chicken. Yeah, I'm just trying to keep. Woods out of.
Hey, check this out. I bet we could make a campsite here, dude.
It's a bit messy.
No, it'll do.
Yeah, that's a
That's just chill. Zach, can you go and get some firewood for us, dude? Thanks.
Let's go make a rain for the fire. What's up? I guess I was supposed to get some firewood.
Here's a lake down a little ways down the trail where we can rent some canoes. You guys feel like canoeing? Or
I don't know how to kayak.
What? Did you hear it screaming?
Wait, where's Zachary?
Zach!
I'm gonna go look.
Zach!
You should be back by now.
Zach! Where are you? What? I don't see anything. Is it Zach?
No, it's not Zach. It's like it was a boy. It's not Zach, but like
A boy?
Yeah. We're 30 miles out. Do you think there's gonna be a boy? You're
I don't see anything, dude. I don't see anything.
Okay, I'm gonna go check.
Kid, you out here?
Yeah.
Oh, where are you? I kind of need you to prove to everybody else that you exist. But like,
Zachary, where are you?
That's screaming. That's
Max.
That's Max. What the? Let's go. Where are you?
Max.
Oh, it's him. Turn around. Run. Oh, run. Well, wasn't that fun, guys? I love the twist ending. And as you guys saw, it was just a nice touch. So I loved it, since we're doing stop motion at this camp too. I love the way that we combined stop motion with real life acting and green screen stuff. It kind of brought together everything that we were learning here in camp, and did great. I really realized during the making of this just how important audio is to horror films. You know, I don't know if you guys were paying attention to all of the different little audio effects. Deck was noticing a lot of them as we were watching this and typing comments. And yeah, I just those little jump scare zing noises and the creepy music. What if you looked at this without all of the audio, you would think it was a totally different film. It's just so important to get those little audio touches done. So I really yeah. Min also said that he really appreciated the funny sounds in it as well. So I've learned a new appreciation for audio editing after this project. Frankly, I think it's just. Anyway, so congratulations to Riley, Jackson, Isabel, Logan, and Zachary, who worked so hard with me. We spent about 2 days putting this together and just had a really fun time. So we're going to release that one as a standalone video pretty soon, and I'm hoping it gets the views that it deserves because you guys did great. So thank you, Riley, who's on the stream with me today. I hope you enjoyed that. Let us know what you thought of the final cut of that in the chat if you're still around. Hey, also to Ashkar Vivek, I didn't know that he was the person who we're going to do the Extreme Makeover with in a little bit. So we'll be getting to that in a tiny bit. One thing for improvement, I think, was that when Zach was coming, there was the change in the setting. It faded a bit. Really? I'm not sure. Yeah.
With the forest, like there was like a little line of an overlap that slowly.
Oh yeah. So let me show you how I did that. Actually, that's an interesting little scene here. I actually had that queued up here to show you guys. So we're in WeVideo, which we use to edit all of this stuff. What I love about WeVideo is it has a complete set of like a giant library of audio effects and stuff like that. And so to film this, we actually filmed the scene twice. We filmed it once with not Zach, this was Logan actually, with Logan and not me, and another scene with the tripod in the exact same place but with me in it. And so then we made the foreground track a little bit transparent and then trimmed it so that only the right hand side of it came off. But we had to move the trim because I start off right in the middle of the screen, and then we end up he ends up moving forward, so the trim had to move, and you can kind of see those weird edges. I'm going to show it to you again right here. So I still think it's cool how he sort of appeared there, but yeah, you can see these little weird things. Now, if we were doing this in a professional video editor, we could probably get some better results, but you know, this is about the best you can do with WeVideo. But I think for a kid-made project, this is really cool. Riley says, I love the sounds, really made the little touches make the movie scary. It was awesome. Also, good job editing the movie. Now, I also want to give a big shout out to the other Riley, Riley Foxton, our co-op student here at Chromeworks this summer. He's one of 3 co-op students with me right now. And he's been working on all the student-made video projects. He's been kind of our in-house video editor for the time we've been working here, and he's been doing just a great job on this stuff. So, so I just wanted to give a big shout out to Riley Foxton, the other Riley. Min said thrilling music. Yeah, and the other Riley agrees that Riley did just a fantastic job on the editing here. I did a little bit of tweaking at the end, but I thought these guys did a great job. So any Chromeworks members who are on my Discord, I'm all the raw footage we used to make this movie is in a folder called Horror Movie, and you guys can feel free to remix this movie any way you want to. If someone wants to do a funny outtake thing or just make their own cut of this movie and experiment with this horror movie genre, you can go ahead and use our raw footage and do whatever you like with it. I'm really curious to see what you guys come up with. So that's an offer extended to any of my members who have WeVideo accounts in my online classroom. Min says that ending jump scare so loud that my mom asked me what I'm watching. Okay, yeah, we cranked up the volume. I realized as I was putting this stuff in that the jump scares really needed a little bit more volume. All right, I want to move on, guys, but again, I want to thank everyone who participated in that. That was just just great. So I have one more movie project to show you. So two of my students, Ian and Simon, were working very, very hard on their own little film, I believe on Tuesday. It looks like it's a little bit inspired by Monty Python. And Simon wasn't allowed to be photographed, so we had to find some clever ways to get him into the film without actually showing his face. So let me show you. Uh-oh! My green screen has fallen down. I've had a malfunction here. Everything's just kind of put together with bubble gum and paper clips here today, just because. Yeah, so it's like the last scene in The Wizard of Oz where they pull the curtains away. You mean the chromeworks studio isn't real? Oh no! All right, I'm the Wizard of Oz. Okay, so without further ado, I want to show you the short film made by Ian and Simon, and it will introduce itself. Here we go.
Where am I?
Welcome to accounting. Here, I'm going to judge your souls and, by the looks of you, send you to hell.
Okay then. Can I go home?
No. Can you confirm that you died by a heart attack that was caused by a cheesecake addiction?
Not an addiction. It was kind of more about just...
In your file, some of the worst things you've done is, lead a cult,
About cheesecake.
kill 6 people,
They didn't like cheesecake.
and put the milk before the cereal?
Yeah, I did that.
I'm sorry, but milk before the cereal is an automatic sender to hell.
Okay. Wanna play rock, paper, scissors?
No! No!
If I win, I get to live again.
No!
Come on, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it, do it.
Alright!
Alright then. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot! Alright, GG's. I'ma go now.
All right, as you can see, my backdrop has bitten the biscuit here, so our normal high-quality Hollywood-style special effects are not going to happen today, guys. And so that's the end of the chromeworks studio. It appears it was a nice run we had, but I guess it's over now. Okay, so Min says heartbreaking music. I really thought that was an amusing little skit. I really liked the dialogue and scripting of it. I just thought it was really nicely done. So congratulations to Simon and Ian, who did such a great job on that project. Okay, all kinds of stuff happening at camp this week. Let me just show you a couple of highlights of some of the Scratch projects that we were working on this week. I just wanted to show you some of the really great work that we've been doing at camp. This is a beautiful animation by a student named Jenny. It's called The Dream, and she spent all week working on this, and I was just so impressed. Jenny and Julie, two twins who were at our camp this week, both produced. They were working hard with their friend Gabrielle on storytelling projects and just did a fantastic job on these things. Let's have a look at The Dream. Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Stop it! Oh man. The Rickrolls have been flying fast and furious here at summer camp, I have to tell you. We actually set up our Alexa in the studio to randomly play Rickrolls every couple of hours, and we've been having a hilarious time with that. And so some of our campers have been getting us back by Rickrolling us. Yes, so yes, that was a Rickroll. All right. So anyway, wasn't that a lovely little storytelling project? Min here says he's ready to go to bed. It's probably he's in Vietnam, where I believe it's like 11 p.m. right now. So so have a good night, buddy. Anyway, but that soothing music and the really relaxed pace of this little storytelling project, I think, really helped to send you along your way to dreamland, Min. So have a good night. It was nice chatting with you. Anyway, Riley's reminded me that another thing that we did at camp is I have these QR codes that we're pasting all over town that actually lead to a Rickroll as well. So if you ever come across a little QR code somewhere in Ottawa on a mailbox or whatever, you don't look at it or you might get Rickrolled as well. Yeah, just a little bit of random vandalism that we're doing to contribute to our community, guys. All right. So Riley has some. I'm eager to see what you do with it, sir. So we got a couple of other great Scratch projects by our users here. Let me show you another one. So this is by Jenny's sister, Julie, and it's called Axolotl Animation. And so an axolotl is a kind of relative of the salamander that's native to the Mexico City area. Very, very rarely seen. Anyway, but let me show you this. I'm quite impressed by it. No! Another. I had to stop it. It was another Rickroll. Sorry, guys. So, yeah, you can see the common theme coming up in our camps now. All right. There's another story here by their friend Gabrielle, who did quite a few comedy stories this week. This one's called The Adventures of Rorden Gamsey, and I'm going to show that to you next. And you'll know who Rorden Gamsey is pretty much right away when you watch this, guys. Hey, no Rickroll. Isn't that good news? All right. So I have a bunch of other camp projects, but it feels like time's a waste in here. So I'm going to move on right now. If I have time at the end, I will show a few more student camp projects. We're just going to keep running until about 11 o'clock or so. So for another half hour, for those of you who are paying attention. But I'd like to move on to a few other comments, especially because we have a user here who's waiting to get his material covered here. So Akshar Vivek Vids is tell us where you're from, dude. I don't even know where you're from. Anyway, he's a scratcher who I met this week, and we were discussing some stuff a little bit in the chat, and I went and looked at his projects, and he's a fairly new scratcher, and he's doing okay, but he needs a little bit of help. So he's going to be the subject of this week's Extreme Makeover Scratch Edition.
Dex says Akshar also has a YouTube channel.
Okay. Yeah, so Akshar actually does have a YouTube channel right now, and he says he was planning to make this particular project for a tutorial. Let's get it up on the screen here. I'm sorry, my magical green screen has disappeared here, so this is going to look a little awkward, but here we are, and so I wanted to show you the basic project. So it's a zombie shooter. It's one I've seen. It's fairly typical of what I've seen in a lot of tutorials, which is a zombie appears on the screen and moves towards you, and you can shoot it with a bullet. So we're gonna. I thought this was a fine little project, but it was a little too predictable and a little bit too easy. Let me play it through here once for you, just to give you an idea of what's going on, and we're gonna do a little bit of quick razzle dazzle to improve this project right now. So let me show you what's going on. Ooh, I'm dead already. So, and this is one of the problems with this project. As soon as you start playing it, you almost immediately die. Or you start facing this way, figure it out, and now the enemies start coming one at a time every second. You don't have to steer. I can actually keep my eyes closed and keep playing this game, and there's really no challenge to it at all now, right? So how do we add a little bit of torquing up to this project to make it a little scarier? Well, I think first of all, rather than having one zombie coming at you very, very quickly, I'd like to have a bunch of zombies coming at you from different directions so that we can maybe have to actually do some maneuvering around in order to get the stuff to add some tension to the game. I'm going to start with this bullet, though. It's just way too big for this project, so let's give it a little shrink here. I think that might be a better size. Let's have a look at that. Ooh, I keep dying right away. Yeah, that looks like a good size bullet. Darn it, if you don't turn yourself right away. And though this is another problem with the game, you have to basically orient your mouse on the screen before it's too late. And you only have a fraction of a second to get from the green flag to the starter point of this project, or you're dead. All right, so our bullet's good. I'm going to go into my zombie here, and I'm going to show you a really cool trick. I'm going to hide myself on the screen here because nobody really needs to look at me here anyway. And I want to show you guys a really cool way to spawn zombies really quickly. We're doing quite a bit of this in camp right now, so this week. So what we're going to do is, well, first of all, let's slow down this movement speed. I'm going to slow it down to maybe 3. I'm inside my zombie sprite here, and now we've got more of these guys showing up. Perfect. Now I want to have them randomly distributed around the screen. So instead of having them start at the edge of the screen, I'm going to move them to the middle, to 0, 0. So I'm going to tell them when I start as the original object, I'm going to have it start at 0, 0. Right at, Min says, rip handsome Mr. T. Yes, you can't look at me anymore, I'm afraid. So instead of starting the edge of the screen, we're going to start at the middle. Why? Because we're actually going to spin around and then go out to the edge of the screen so that we can appear anywhere on the screen. Now, normally, if I was going to have a character spawning from the edge, I would basically roll a 4-sided dice to pick a random number between 1 and 4 and say go anywhere along the top edge of the screen or anywhere along the right edge of the screen. But Jeffrey showed me this really cool technique that I wanted to show you here. So we've got our guy spawned spawned at the center of the screen here. And we're going to tell him immediately, to, when he starts at the clone, to pick a random direction. So we're going to basically send him out to the edge of the screen. So let's go point in direction. And we're going to pick a random number from 1 to 360. So that will basically tell them to start. I'm going to disable their movement so we can watch them spawning here. So let's just release this repeat until here. And we're going to tell these guys to start spawning in the middle of the screen. And each one of them's facing in a different direction, right? Now we're going to send them out to the edge of the screen by telling them to move way too far. So we're just going to tell them to move in the direction that they're pointing. Maybe, so probably about 270 to 300 or so is pixels is enough to get us to the edge of the screen. Now they're all appearing at all the edges of the screen, all 4 edges of the screen, which is really cool in random locations. But they're all facing away from me, so we have to flip them around. So let's flip them around 180 degrees. And let's reinstate the movement script here. And look what's going on here. We've got our guys zooming in from every side of the screen now, which gives us a reason to actually try and move around. Now, I'm not very good at these games, so I'm just going to die right away. But you can see that we got some, I'm just going to flail around and try to stay away from them. So this is much scarier now. I think we've got hordes of zombies chasing after us, and just makes it much, much more difficult. You can see we've already improved this game tremendously here. You could even slow the speed down a little bit more and just add more tension to it. This game is crying out for sound effects, so let's add some sound effects. Now, Scratch doesn't have any gunshots. One of my favorite things to do is just record my own audio effects here. So I'm just going to go to, let's bring Mr. T back here again, just for the lulz. And so what I'm going to do here is record my own gunshot sound effect. It's super easy. And here I'm just going to go into my sounds. I'm going to hit the record button here, and I'm just going to do a quick pow. Now you can see that we got some additional stuff here at the edges that we don't want to use, so I'm just going to use my little tweezers to cut out the parts I don't want. Let's play my gunshot sound. And that's fine. Yeah, that'll do. If you wanted to, you could try slowing the sound down a little bit. Make it sound a little more bassy. And or you could speed it up and make it sound a little more cartoonish. I like playing around with these sounds a little bit. So this is my shot sound. So I'm going to make that go off every time that our gunshot goes off. And I'm also going to add a little moaning effect that appears every time the zombies show up on the screen. So let's do a quick recording here. And again, we'll tweezer it. And what we're going to do is we're going to record this sound 3 times. So that we have a little variety of sounds here. And let's do the third one. And there we go. We've got 3 different sound effects here now. And what I'm going to do in the code is every time a clone is created, I'm going to start sound. Now we know that our sound effects are sound effect 2, sound effect 3, and sound effect 4. So if I put a random number into here from 2 to 4, every time a zombie is created, it will play a random one of these 3 sounds. You can do that with costumes too, if you have different costumes for effects and stuff, and it really worked well. You can just shove this random number in and it'll pick a random costume every time a bad guy spawns and create a little bit of variety in your game. Okay, so we're going to add that other sound effect for the gunshots as well, which we got to put into the bullet, I believe. So when I start as a clone, let's just play the gunshot sound. Oh, we can't do it because my gunshot sound is in the zombie. So what we're going to do here is just copy the sound back over to the bullet. And I bet you guys didn't know that we can just grab a shot and move it over to the bullet sprite just like that. And now it will appear in the bullet sprite. And we can tell it to start playing the sound shot. Okay, so our sound effects are fixed up now. Let's have a look. Whoa! So I should be starting in the center of the screen too. I don't want to be on the edge of the screen or that kind of horrible stuff is going to happen. So let's set up my own starting position here to be 0, 0. There we go. And now we'll see if I can survive more than half a second in this game. Whoa. Anyway, you can see how adding the sound effects. There we go. Now we got the green spot now. Sorry sorry. Handsome says Min. Oh, me or the game? I'm sure he's talking about me, and I have no doubt that I am a handsome fellow. All right, isn't that a big improvement to the game? I would probably want to add some background music as well. We were talking before about just how adding a little bit of sound to our projects really makes a big difference. So let's go find a suitably fun little music loop, something high tension. There's an action movie sound effect here somewhere. What's it called again? It's called movie. No. Yeah, here it is, that movie too. I see this all over Scratch, and that's definitely something that that it gets a lot of love from the Scratch community, that particular sound effect. It's very action movie-esque. So let's go play sound, or yeah, we're going to play sound until done here because we're in a forever loop. Remember, if we try to do that inside a start sound, we're going to get horrible stuff happening here, right? So let's go put play sound until done. All right, so Ashkar says thank you, and you're welcome, sir. So you can see how just in 5 minutes we really improved this game. So my advice to you and to any other budding Scratch developers is don't ignore sound effects, dude. They make so much difference in a game. And yeah, just that simple technique of spawning enemies at the edge of the screen, I think has really made your game dramatically more fun. You had movement in there, but there was never a reason to move because you were already perfectly positioned to shoot these guys. Some other things we could add if we had more time is I would maybe randomize the spawning of these enemies so that they happened, instead of happening every second, if they happened in a more random fashion, that might be cool. I'd want to add a creepy background here as well. And there's just so many little things, and plus a scoreboard as well. You definitely want to keep score in a game like that. So a little bit more advice. Ashkar says he appreciates the tips, and I appreciate talking to you. Ashkar and I first started talking, I believe it was in reference to a scandal that was brewing in Scratch this week over a clicker game that I was just getting too high a score on, and everyone was accusing me of cheating. So I had to school everyone in the math behind clicker games, and so we started talking surrounding that, and anyway, so yeah, so Akshar, really nice chatting with you. I never did hear where you're from. Are you from India, dude, or are you from somewhere else? Your name sounds like it might be from Sri Lanka or India, but I'm not 100% sure. I won't ask you your home address, and I won't drone strike your house if you tell me what country you come from. You're from the USA, okay? Well, the names, of course, aren't quite as good an indicator anymore now that we're all a global civilization here. So anyway, Akshar, really nice chatting with you, and thanks so much for joining the stream. And that was a fun little segment. One other little coding segment I wanted to do today was smooth movement. This is something that came up in Camped this week, and I wanted to show you how to. Now, this is something I certainly didn't invent this, but this is a really cool technique that not enough Scratchers understand. So normally when you move stuff, it moves in a linear fashion at the same speed all the time, but a little bit of math can get you movement that looks a lot more natural, where we ease in and ease out. We have a little bit of acceleration, and then we go fast, and then as we get towards the edge, we slow down. And this kind of mimics the way real people run, right? When you start, like a car doesn't start moving at 60 kilometers an hour. It starts off slowly, then speeds up, and then slows down again when it comes to a stop. And so this is just a much more realistic movement cycle. You can see what we're doing here is we're just measuring the distance between my mouse pointer and the object, and we're dividing it by a factor. The higher the number is, the more it kind of snaps. So I'll show you what 15 looks like. And if we do a smaller number, like 2, you can see that it doesn't snap very much at all, right? So you can accelerate or decelerate the amount that this thing lags behind our mouse. And so as it gets closer to the mouse, this number gets smaller. It starts moving slower and slower until it finally stops. Let's go with a super high number like 100, for example, and I'll show you what that looks like. And so it's barely perceptible there, right? And then it slows down more and more and more until it finally hits its target. There we go. but it takes forever, doesn't it? So the sweet spot here is somewhere between 10 and 15 or so, I think, and then it gives you just lovely movement. Divide and multiply blocks are always make the moving smoother, says Min. I agree, sir. So yeah, definitely a nice tip. Now the question is, how do you do that when you're using your arrow keys to move, or your WASD keys? And this is the little issue I was looking at this week, is how do you make this work when you have no object to refer to? We're trying to measure the distance between where we want to go and where we are right now, and then divide it by a factor. But what happens when you don't know what the speed is of, or sorry, you don't know where you're going to, right? Because you have a directional information, but you don't know the destination or when you're going to start moving. So I'm going to show you a really cool technique. I've got this brown cat set up here. Let's hide cat 2 right now, and I'm going to get brown cat running. By the way, I should probably share the code for this, so I am going to paste this into the chat if anyone wants to have a look at my file. So this red cat here or brown cat is designed to move in a linear fashion, the same way that that any scratcher would normally make it run. And so that's very, very straightforward. Move minus 10 steps, move 10 steps. And that's a little boring. And up top here, we've got this orange cat that I set up to work the same way. And let's show it. So this is using our smooth movement script. And let me compare these two side by side here. And you can see that we've kind of mimicked that same effect that we did. So the orange cat is actually using the smooth movement. How did we do that? Well, let me show you. We actually created a clone of ourselves. So what I did was let me show the clone right now. Right now I'm making the clone hide, so I'm going to tell the clone not to hide right now. So what I've done is I just have created a clone that basically copies, you can see it's the green one. He copies the movement of the brown cat here. He's just moving minus 10 steps to the left and 10 steps to the right. And so now we have a target that our orange cat can shoot towards. So we're going to measure the distance between the green cat and the orange cat. You can see here that we're setting a variable here called set target location. And what that's doing is just measuring the x-coordinate of that green cat clone. It's invisible, so you can't actually see it in the project, and I'm going to hide it again by inserting it back in there. And so now our orange cat is chasing after it by moving to the distance between them. So I'm measuring that x-coordinate of the green cat and subtracting my x position, and I'm basically getting the distance between me and the cat. We divide that by 10. And then we've got our smooth movement. So what a nice little technique that is. So all you have to do is hide that green cat, and suddenly you've got a really, really nice little smooth movement technique that works. You can make this work in both directions as well. I would just have to add some coordinates here for X and Y to make this work properly in an up-down motion. But nice little technique that I think is really, really cool. Okay, so what else do we have on the go here? So the last up here, yeah, we are running out of time, so I think I'm going to jump on to our interview with Jeffrey. And so, as I said, Jeffrey talked to our campers today, or sorry, this was Thursday via live stream. We put him onto a Discord call and did a lot of running wires and phones and things back and forth. Shot it from 3 different angles, recorded it here and recorded it in Sweden, and kind of put together a little live TV event right here at camp. Something that you don't see very often at summer camps. And I was very excited to do that anyway, and it turned out really nicely. So the final Q&A session ran out to about a half an hour or so, but I want to show you just a couple of excerpts to give you a teaser of what that's going to look like coming up here. So I'm going to show you that right now.
And how was it like having Hideo Kojima tweet about your game?
It was nice. It was actually really surprising. Of course nobody expected it to happen, but the game itself nobody expected to do well.
I had a follow-up question about foundational stuff. So these guys are all 11 to 13 years old. They're mostly in middle school or approaching middle school. But once they get into high school, what's the important stuff they need to concentrate on that will help them if they want to get into video game design?
Oh, yeah, okay, that's a great thing to ask. Yeah, so if anybody's thinking about getting into game dev and you're looking at what's important in high school, then sorry to say this, but the number one is definitely math.
What's your thought process behind most of the games you do?
Ooh, that's hard. Like thought process, do you mean like the idea for the games?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so most of, okay, so That's hard to say. Originally, like back when I was working as just a solo dev, because I'm by no means a solo dev anymore. I work with like decently large teams at this point. But back when it was just me coming up with the game ideas, it was it wasn't like I sat down one day and I was just like, I am going to make a game. I need to think of a game idea. I found like it turns out you can come up with game ideas much quicker than you can make them. At this point, I probably have a backlog of like 15 games that I would love to make someday, and a lot of those inspirations just came from playing other games.
Any last call for questions here?
Would you like to stay as an indie game developer, or go into one of the big companies?
Another great question. So my school, the like expected kind of track to go to my school, most people are aiming for the big company jobs. If I was going to be getting a job at someone else's studio, I would be aiming at probably AA.
What would you name your dev company?
See, this is what I know. If you asked me a few weeks ago, I would have had no clue and started panicking. But no, our current plan name is Rotorhead. Rotorhead Games.
One of my questions is, are you planning to go into more advanced AI in one of your later games? For example, PvE elements.
Oh, I'm going into AI right now. So the game we're working on right now, Katurka, is like a third-person shooter it's single player. You go around, as is implied by the genre, you do shoot quite a few people, and those people have to have decent AI. Now, advanced AI is an interesting question, because a little open secret of the games industry is that almost all AI are so dumb.
Cool. Jack says one more question.
When is Katurka set to release, and on what?
Okay, on what? Definitely computer. We would like consoles. I mean, I don't think it would run on a Switch. It would be cool to get it on, like, PS4, PS5, Xbox, all of them. And like all that stuff, but realistically, we're not sure if the console release just takes time. We don't know if we'll have the time to do it.
Same question, but what I wanted to ask was on what game website, like Steam or Epic Games or
Steam.
Okay.
Yeah. And maybe itch.io.
Is the new game gonna be disturbing, like how fish are made, or is it gonna be something entirely new?
It's in general entirely new, but Johanna's Finnish, our narrative designer, and Finnish people only make disturbing games. That's just the truth.
So, so your advice to these guys is stay in school, study math, study physics, and what should they be doing in terms of coding? Like, should they be taking up Unity or Unreal Engine, or what would be your advice to a young coder right now?
I have a personal bias, if not a hatred, for Unreal Engine. Okay, realistically, it is a very, very good tool for making games. I hate it. I can't stand Unreal Engine. But for any of you guys, I would really recommend, if you're thinking about getting into game dev or just want to pick up like a really fun hobby, spending time in Unity or Unreal is always a great thing to do.
All right, I think we're going to wrap it up now, Jeffrey. So we really thank you very much for joining us. I think the campers really like that. Can we get a round of applause for Jeffrey? Thanks a lot, everybody. And so from Stockholm, Sweden, this has been Jeffrey Tomec joining our live stream. Thanks so much, buddy.
Yeah.
All right, yeah, so that was a really cool event. I must say I really enjoyed doing something like that. The campers, some of whom were really interested in the idea of maybe going into game design, were really interested, asking questions. They came up with all sorts of great questions. So that was just a little sampler. We actually talked for half an hour, and Jeffrey was full of jokes and interesting little insider stories about the industry. So you can look forward to seeing that a little later on in the week once we finish polishing it and getting it posted to YouTube. So with that and our horror movie will both be made available to you guys early next week. And just give me a like and a sub here, and will especially subscribe to me and ring the bell, and then you'll be able to get access to this. Jeffrey was talking about Katurka, his new project that he and a group of about 10 other Swedish kids are working on. I want to show you guys some images from that. So it's going to be kind of a cowboy shooter set in a futuristic kind of post-apocalyptic grassy plains area, a little bit like Russia. And you can see some of the designs that they're doing here. They're designing their own horses and doing some wonderful stuff. Yeah, this is the main horse. I forget his name, but he's yeah, there's some really beautiful art being designed for this. Now, he's just using placeholder characters, so ignore the little white robot-shaped characters here. They're not going to actually appear in the finished game. But here's a set from the game, and yeah, let's show you some other stuff here. There's some spam here. Oh yeah, here's the main character. So you can see they're doing some lovely work here in character design. These guys are serious artists and serious game producers, and they are going to be making a top-notch game here. I wanted to show you Jeffrey's horse riding. Oh, here's the main poster. Again, we've got a placeholder character there. That character in the brown outfit is going to end up riding this horse in the end. This is all very early production stuff here. This is some of Jeffrey's coding work that he's been doing here. So this is his new horse riding system that he's been coding. We're just watching it over Twitter here, so it's a little bit jumpy. Let's put myself back in the frame here. Oh yeah, this is stuck. Yeah, that's not working. Oh yeah, there it goes. Once it's small, it starts working fine. So you can see his horse riding algorithm is working quite nicely now. Yeah, as soon as I maximize it, it goes out, eh? And oh, here's another example of his horse riding algorithm. Nope, it's not available. Oh, here it is. So I'm not going to maximize this for fear of messing everything up here. Maybe I'll just zoom it using my mouse here. So if you look along the ground, you can see these little splines along the ground here. So this horse is basically, rather than programming its every movement, we're having it deform itself to fit the shape of the spline, and so you can have this horse run in any direction. This is quite an ingenious little system Jeffrey coded up here. So real horse riding in a game like Red Dead or something would be much more complicated than this, but he's very quickly patched something together here that actually works quite nicely for an indie level game that's going to be a really nice little introduction to horse riding. So this is Jeffrey's big new game project. Not Jeffrey, his team, right? And they're going to be calling themselves Rotorhead Games. And so it's about 10 to 12 students in Sweden, all members of this Future Games group that are all working together to put this project together, and really excited about that. It's going to be released on Steam hopefully around Christmas or so if everything goes well, and we're looking forward to that. All right, so yeah, Min says he wishes he had more time for coding. Any other interesting comments there, David? So thanks to David, by the way, who edited this, the edited version of this interview for me this morning. He whipped it up really quickly. I couldn't afford to show you guys the whole half hour, and Dave did a great job of just getting excerpts out of that. All right, so that looks like it's about it for me, ladies and gentlemen. So I am signing off for a while now. I'm going to be back in a few weeks. Well, we'll be back with some content next week, as I said, with my horror story, and with our horror story, and with this Jeffrey interview. And there will be other chromeworks content coming, I promise you. It's just not going to be live streams for a while until I figure out what we're going to do. I will be back when we were on a live stream, though, for the release party for our animated music video project, which I promise you is going to be arriving really soon. So you can look forward to that. In the meantime, it's been 2 years of doing this, guys, and I've been doing this pretty much every week since the beginning of the pandemic, and it's just been a fantastic time I've had with you kids, particularly at the beginning when everyone was locked in quarantine and everyone just wanted to do something. And we just rolled up our sleeves and started coding in Scratch right way back in March 2020. And man, we had fun doing that. And I just want to give a shout out to all those kids. We had 20 or 30 kids in our virtual classroom who were all jumping in and helping me code and making suggestions and coding right along beside me. And well, I just haven't been able to recapture that energy that we had in those first couple of weeks. And the reason is because everyone was locked locked in their houses. So next time you're all locked in your houses again, we're going to have a fantastic live stream, and I'm looking forward to that. But in the meantime, I will see you guys soon. So thanks very much, everybody, for joining me. And you haven't seen the last of me, but you won't be seeing me next week.